Nothing like the last minute, right?
Yeah. You're here.
So my name is Rob Dudley, and I'm the moderator for this session. I'm from Schoolcraft College. I'm the Dean of Occupational Programs and Economic Development, and want to just welcome everybody to the session. This is a session on launching education careers through credentialing. And I'm just going to do a brief introduction of our speakers, and then we'll let them get started. So from the Department of Education, Candace Vinson is an education consultant in the Office of Career and Technical Education. She has a master's degree in workforce development and is enrolled at Western Michigan University for her PhD in education and human development. Hope that's going well. She oversees the education and training in family and consumer sciences, government and public administration, hospitality and tourism, in law, public safety, corrections, and security secondary CTE programs. That is a lot of work right there. She's taught CTE education and training for 13 years, previously served as the president of the Michigan Educational Careers Association. She's passionate about recruitment and retention of public school teachers and continuous improvement in education. All very noble efforts, especially right now. We're really hurting for teachers. So next is Lorraine Thoreson, also from Michigan Department of Education. She is the 21st Century Community Learning Centers Manager with the Michigan Department of Education. Has been working with a team of professionals to develop a continuous improvement model for out-of-school time programs. She has a master's degree in education and human development. In addition to serving as a local program provider, Lorraine has served on many national initiatives, continuing to promote the importance of high-quality OST, that's out-of-school time program, for children and youth. She serves on the Council of Chief State School Officers Task Force, served the United States Education Departmental Technical Working Group, like the U for Youth Professional Development, and the Annual Report Evaluation. So the final speaker today is Robin Zeiter, and she is a professional development specialist in the Office of Great Start at the Michigan Department of Education. Her work focuses on workforce initiatives that support the early childhood and out-of-school time workforce. She currently manages the state's workforce registry, My Registry, and My Registry houses trainer and training approval and captures workforce data, including qualification, professional development, wage, and employment and retention data. That is a lot of work that you ladies are doing, and we're all curious to hear more about how these credentials and everything can really work toward our career. So I'll leave it to you.
Great, thanks. So it's great to be here this morning. And as some of you were joining, I just was suggesting that you maybe reflect for a moment and think about experiences that sort of sparked where you are in your career today, or maybe an earlier time you had a different career. I know I have a spouse who says I still haven't figured out what I want to do yet with my career. So we're glad to have you here, and we're also hopeful that this project or this initiative really supports young people with sparking a career interest in education. So feel free to put in the chat if you've given it some thought in terms of who helped or what experiences helped shape sort of where you are in your role today. So this event or initiative is actually called the Future Proud Michigan Educator, and we are actually using launch as one of our kind of communication pieces around this work. So we're glad to be here today. And I know that Rob so nicely already shared with us or shared with you who we are. So I don't think we need to spend time on that slide, and we'll get right started in the content today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lorraine Thoreson, and today we're going to talk about how the Michigan Department of Education viewed a Future Proud Michigan Educator Launch Initiative. We always come up with long acronyms. Is going to work in the state, and how we're going to try to recruit CTE program and students to earn college credits and credentials in the early childhood education and out of school time fields, and then work towards post-secondary opportunities, CDA and YDA credential programs also help lead to enrollment in educator programs, and we'll talk about that, and we'll build awareness around these credentials and hopefully how you can participate in that. Next slide. So the initiative is about pathways with 2 credentials in high school through career and tech ed. So what we've done, the Michigan Department of Education has partnered with the Region 8 Comprehensive Center, which is part of a national comprehensive centers network that works with state education agencies. And we're a diverse group of stakeholders across the state, and we're expanding the pipeline of credentialed educators and youth workers through career pathways that begin in high school and lead to multiple career opportunities. We'll talk more about some of those paths and how that leads out from the credential to other things. Next slide. So our internal team consists of Richard Lauer, the Director of Office of Great Start Preschool and Out School Time Learnings, me, the manager of the 21st Century Community Learning Centers, and now more recently, all CBO-based out of school time programs grants. Robin Zeiter, who spoke earlier, she's the professional development specialist. Candace, our educational consultant from the career and tech pathways, tech education. Stacy Stover, who is the early middle college consultant at the Department of Education. Jeff McNeil, who we didn't finish what his office is, but he's working with dual enrollment programs. And Kelly Cassidy, who works with strategic implementations of Office of Educator Excellence. So we've had, multiple offices within the department coming together to talk about how we can help support the development of the field. Next slide. Our external group members and stakeholders are community college representatives. Some of you may be on that. We have Michigan Early Middle College Association, the Michigan Association of Colleges of Teacher Education, the Career and Technical Education Directors and Instructors in the field, several of them. We have Michigan Association for the Education of Young Children as part of this. The Great Start Readiness Program Specialists are part of this project. The Michigan Head Start Association, the Michigan After School Partnership, the Tribal Education Directors, and the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunities. So it's stakeholders that have a stake in helping to build the fields of early childhood and out of school time, as well as teacher education. And next slide. Candace will take it from here.
Okay, so our project really ties into so many various initiatives right now in the state of Michigan. First and foremost, credentialing was selected as our end of program core performance indicator as part of Michigan's Perkins 5 state plan. But we're also looped under the governor's goal of 60% of adults having higher level credentials by 2030. And we have a direct tie-in here to Michigan's top 10 strategic education plan. There are 8 goals in the Michigan Department of Education's top 10 strategic education plan. This project impacts every single one of the goals, either indirectly as a result of having more supervision and interaction with children, or directly due to the impact on workforce development. Research has proven that high school students who participate in CTE graduate at a higher percentage than those who do not. And Michigan has an urgent need to increase the number of workers in early childhood and out of school time and to address the teacher shortage. We need teachers. We need educators. So we've developed 2 fact sheets that have resources. So I'm going to put the links maybe into the chat. No, it's not working for me, but I'll do it after I'm done speaking. So I have 2 links that I will share with you in the chat eventually. And essentially what we wanted when we are working on this project in secondary CTE is that we wanted the credentials that students could earn in all of the CTE areas to be rigorous, but we also wanted them to be achievable for a high school student. And then we also focused a lot on providing smooth on and off ramps. High school students are a little different than college students in that they really don't know what they want to do. And so sometimes our students don't earn the credential as we would have liked them to, but we wanted to have a way for them to come back in and earn it after the fact. So we're using the My Registry system to log credential competency completion. So if a student doesn't earn their credential in high school, they can finish through a post-secondary program or through their employer without losing the work that was completed in high school. And that is something that is extremely unique in the world of secondary education. Typically, if you don't earn it, you're out of luck. This is actually the only secondary CTE program right now that gives students a chance to continue to complete their credential after graduation through a linkage with post-secondary and through the My Registry program. And Robin and Lorraine, if you guys have those links, if you can throw them in there. I don't know, I can't click mine. So the credentials both can lead to a teaching pathway. And part of the reason for that is because the Child Development Associate leads to our new birth to kindergarten teaching endorsement or teaching band, grade band in education through the Department of Education. I'm fumbling my words. But these are very rigorous, but they give students an opportunity to be job ready immediately or to transition again to post-secondary. And Robin, this one's you.
Yeah. So the first credential is the CDA, and there are lots of possible CDA pathways, but just to set the stage, a CDA is a nationally recognized credential, and in Michigan, it really is foundational to our early childhood and out of school time career pathway as that first step as a professional level, which I think is good to know. Individuals that serve, or actually individuals that earn the CDA pathway have lots of choices in terms of immediate employment. I just highlighted two: Great Start or Head Start, associate or assistant teacher, and that is an almost immediate employment opportunity as a competent, credentialed individual in those roles. Also, under a licensed program, Early Care and Education Lead Teacher, a CDA qualifies an individual to serve in that capacity as well. And as you know, we have lots and lots of shortage in terms of the workforce and need competent individuals in all early care and education settings, be it a federally based Head Start program, a state preschool, state-funded preschool program, or a community-based child care center or family child care program. So a student with a CDA is well poised to continue their career or to build on their career opportunities with continued education. Candace mentioned the BK teacher or birth through kindergarten teacher. We also have a pre-K 3 certification band, certainly in early childhood or child development, associate's or bachelor's degree, well poised for that as well. And then moving into that role of being a center program director or a specialized role like an occupational therapist or a speech and language therapist, thinking about this individual as having sort of that really foundational CDA credential to sort of spark and lead them in many, many different directions. So I think Lorraine's going to talk about the out of school time credential next, or the youth development associate.
So what we did in Michigan was determine that we needed something beyond the early childhood CDA that would be equivalent to and help programs where students are working in out of school time programs or working in settings that are beyond age 5, so 6th through 12th grade. So for the MyYDA, that's the Michigan Youth Development Associate credential, We have developed a similar system that's equivalent to the CDA, with the same kind of rigorous attention to all of the competencies that are required to do a really good job in working in out of school time programs, and helps to build towards a career in education as well. Many of the folks who work in out of school time either go on to work in education as a teacher, or may work as an associate teacher in education. Some of the career opportunities can be immediate. As soon as they are awarded the MyYDA, they can work in summer camps, become summer camp counselors, sports and recreation field. They can be coaches and leaders. They can be teacher assistants during the school day. They can become a site supervisor in an after-school program or a school-aged care program, or they can do after-school tutoring. And all of those are highly needed in the state right now. We just received an additional $5 million in grant funds for programs that are looking for staff right now to be able to fill that need. And then using this credential and earning some college credits towards college education, the students may go on to become K-12 teachers, community education leaders, like a nonprofit director of the Boys and Girls Club, a school psychologist, a guidance counselor. There's so many options for someone who has a youth development background, because youth development is all about relationships with students and how we develop those relationships. So those credential pieces are very important to all of the positions that I just talked about. So there's lots of opportunity there. So I'm gonna let Candace, I believe, take over on the next slide, right? Does anybody have any questions at this time? I guess you could put it in the chat.
Yeah, I would say if you have questions, if you throw them in the chat, and I think we can all see the chat right now. So we'll try to answer them along the way too. I wanted to give you a good overview of this entire program and answer any questions that you might have, because we want you all to work with us. So I'm going to begin with playing a video clip, which kind of provides a snapshot of the amount of work-based learning and laboratory learning that takes place in high school CTE. It's really not much different than post-secondary CTE, except for the ages of the students and the motivations of the students. As Rob so nicely put it, I taught within this program for quite some time. I taught in 2 different counties, Macomb and Oakland. And I'm really proud of my former students. I keep in touch with them. I have one who works for the MEA, one who is a principal, one who won Teacher of the Year, and so many who became elementary teachers. And then I've got others who decided they wanted to work within early childhood, childcare, out of school time programs. So they just wanted to work with kids, and they didn't necessarily know the careers, all of them that are out there to work with kids. And so hopefully the volume works for this. Is it working? No volume? Okay, hold on. So I think the problem is that I have earbuds on. So I may not be able to share this. So you know what, I will unmute my screen share to the left. It's extremely helpful, but I don't know where it is.
If you click on the screen share, there's a share system audio on there. So click on the screen that says screen share.
I don't have a button that says screen share.
It's not, it doesn't say it. It's the picture of a TV at the bottom of your thing.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now you have to share it again. There you go.
I think technology issues are just going to be the theme of 2021-22 school year just as much as it has been the last 2 years. I refuse to continue to say the C word. Okay, I'm
working with children in general.
I'm going to push all the way back. Can you hear it now?
Hi, I'm Melissa Finley, instructor with Rainbow Preschool at the Tuscola Technology Center. We have a 2-year program here for students who want to go into education or working with children in general. We have the opportunity to articulate with both community and universities. And we also have the option to get your CDA credential, which is a national credential that allows you to work in any GSRP or Head Start program or in any licensed daycare center. So you can come into the program and just get some experience working with kids. You can get the CDA credential and go right into the workforce, or you can get some college credit earned before you head out to your next path.
Hi, my name is Jade and I'm from Vassar Schools. This will benefit me because it will give me a hands-on experience with kids that I want to work with in the future.
I'm really fortunate to get to work with that teacher and see her program. And it's just one of very many programs. And Jennifer, I don't have a great answer to your question about a statewide associate's degree in education. That's not our area of expertise, but I would love to see that happen. I think it's been very much needed. And a lot of other states do have that. But I'll explain a little bit more about secondary CTE. So our mission in our office is to prepare high school students so that they have the necessary academic, technical, and work behavior skills to enter, complete, and advance in education and their careers. After graduation, again, like I said, some of our students go directly to the workforce, others go to their local community college, and others go immediately to university. So there's a wide range of where students go. There are also students who work with kids a little bit and then say, you know, I always thought I wanted to be a teacher until I stepped foot in a classroom. And now I don't want to be a teacher. And our response there is, good, you're saving money. Now we can, explore another career path. And then we don't have people who don't want to work with kids in the classroom, because that happens sometimes too. Our students have a wide range of interest in working in education or working with children. And it's my goal this year to work with our post-secondary partners to strengthen that pipeline of high school to community college and community college to university. So working on very strong credit agreements, because essentially it's going to take every single one of the stakeholder groups that you saw earlier in the presentation and more stakeholder groups to address the needs of this industry. And for a very long time, everyone was working in little silos and not working all together as one big team. The third link that I threw in here is our instructional resources. And so if you want to see the competencies and standards that the students have to master in this program, you can actually view all those documents through that link. Another goal that we have with this project is to increase access to the CTE area so that regional needs are truly met. It's our goal that using this targeted strategy will increase diversity within the profession and provide equity. I am traveling the state right now. I travel a lot, and I am meeting with all of my regions in orange there, and I'm meeting with the ones in green, because we have some areas where students have no access, and we have other areas where the access is hit or miss. And part of that is due to the way career tech programs at the secondary level are administered and ran. Some are running out of very large career centers, so there might be one giant center for an entire county. Others are contracted programs with a local community college. But most of these programs actually run in local comprehensive high schools. So it's really based on the needs of the ISD or the RESA. For example, in Macomb County, just north of Detroit, so it's a very dense area, there's no tech center. And so there's some high schools that have the program. Some offer it only to their own students. Others have a consortium with other high schools and students travel back and forth. In St. Clair County, which gets a little more rural than Macomb, there's a tech center. So students travel to the tech center and they take the class. But I was just up in the Upper Peninsula, way up at the tippy top there. And I just got to visit Gogebic Community College, and we have a program there. And everyone in the region goes to Gogebic and they take the class through the community college, and it counts for credit both towards their degree and towards high school. And then, of course, we have early middle college programs. At this point, the shortage of qualified professionals in schools, childcare, and youth development needs immediate action. And part of that immediate action is that we're looking at ways to shorten pathways, but maintain quality. We've had a lot of laws put on the books of trying to get unqualified people into the classroom, and we think it's a little more important to get qualified people in quickly. And so awarding academic credit for credentials can shorten that pathway. It can shorten it for a parapro who wants to move into teaching. It can shorten it for motivated high school graduates through higher wages with higher education. And tomorrow there's a breakout session. It's session F at 10:15. Erica Orians and Katie Giardello from the Michigan Community College Association are going to be presenting on a project to expand the functionality of the Michigan Transfer Network to support colleges in their efforts to award credit for industry credentials. This is a really exciting project, and it might be a big game changer for students who want to work in this industry, and of course other industries too, but I'm partial to this one. And so I encourage you to attend that session to learn about the project. I got to be a part of the meetings, and it's really cool. There are many educator prep programs that are partnering with the CTE programs to award academic credit. They host conferences. They expose high school students to their campuses and professors. Several also have outstanding partnerships with their local community colleges, and so that they form a really nice pipeline from high school to community college to university, where everything transfers up beautifully. I once took a bus from St. Clair Shores to Kalamazoo to go to a conference at Western with my students. And they sat 3 to a seat on that bus because it was the only class that offered a field trip was mine. So I had so many students on that bus, and they had never been on a college campus before. A lot of my students had resigned themselves to, I'm not going to college. And if we just put kids on college campuses, they start to really rethink that. I put my contact in here more than once because there are so many ways that post-secondary partners or other community partners can get involved with these programs. Our teachers are always looking to make connections with post-secondary. They have to have their advisory committees, and they need post-secondary representation there. They're looking for guest speakers, again, to get their students focused on college campus tours, various conferences. So if you are unsure if there is a program near you, or you don't quite know how to make that connection, I will be more than happy to connect you with whoever you need to have stronger relationships with these programs. And Robin.
I muted myself because now it's time for the lawns to be mowed in the neighborhood. So I don't know whether we set this in our objectives. I hope we did, but we do want to gather some information from you, and we're going to move into that in just a moment or two. But before we get to 3 really important questions where we really want to gather insight and your thoughts and ideas, I wanted to at least pause and give you an opportunity to share any thoughts, wonderings, opportunities, challenges I think our group is small enough to unmute, but maybe for the ease of not talking over one another, we can use the chat, and I'll just pause for a minute and see, are there things just learning a little bit more about CTE? Some of you have lots of familiarity probably with the CDA credential, a little less so maybe with the MyYDA credential. So just a moment to pause to see, are there things that you'd like us to respond to before we really dig into a few questions that we want to gather your feedback and insight around?
Robin, while they're
Oh,
quickly putting all their notes in, I just have a couple questions that maybe people are interested in. It's probably is going to be addressed by your poll, but so yeah, at Schoolcraft, we do give prior learning credit for the CDA, but we're probably, I think you mentioned that none of the schools are getting credit for the Michigan Youth Development Association. What are the hurdles for that? I mean, I'm definitely going to talk to my education people about this afterwards, but what are the hurdles? What do we need to do to make that happen?
well, I'll start, and then Lorraine, you might have some to add. Part of it is simply because it's so new. So anything that's new just takes a little bit of time. I know that I met with Saginaw Valley, and the dean there was interested in looking at the competencies and what has to be accomplished in the YDA, and he wanted to see what it would connect to in his classes. So I think really the only hurdle is getting the meeting scheduled and really looking at what's in the YDA, and Lorraine's the expert there, and then what's in the community college courses as well. It's just looking at that crosswalk.
Well, I know that as we've been adding this to the CTE classes, we did a crosswalk between the competencies in the CDA and the competencies in the MyYDA, and they're pretty closely aligned. Actually, when we designed the MyYDA, we used the competencies from the CDA to really look at, okay, what do they have to learn to do this? What do they have to learn to do that? The biggest difference is learning about youth engagement and youth development rather than early childhood development. And we have aligned a whole bunch of online courses through the My Registry to help students to get that information, help teachers to have the knowledge to be able to teach that in conjunction with their early childhood child development. The MyYDA is almost identical in robustness of the CDA. So if a student were to take an early childhood class, they would get probably 80% of the same course content that they would need to get through the MyYDA. The biggest difference is that we use a couple of things that are a little bit more specific to school age youth, like the development pieces and the engagement, and youth voice is much more important with kids who can speak for themselves about what they need and want. And then there's the as far as the work-based learning, we modeled that exactly after the CDA. They have to be in programs that are out of school time programs. With the CTE courses, we're allowing some in-classroom kinds of things in school day classrooms because we see an alignment there as well. And there's not really a lot of difference. So if you're offering the CDA, you could easily take the MyYDA competency list and the competency areas and kind of match them up to what you're already teaching in early childhood courses and your teacher ed courses. I know when I was in community college back in the day, I took a children's literature class that could have easily been for both. I took a math for elementary teachers that could have easily been for both early childhood and school age, depending on the content of the course that you're teaching.
And one thing that I probably should have added when I talked about program delivery, we have some of our CTE programs. They're all running under the same umbrella of education and training. on the same zip code, and we use 1300, 13.0000. But we have some schools, like in Traverse City, for example, they have a careers in education course, and that program, one teacher teaches it, and she is tailoring everything towards the YDA. And then there's another teacher who teaches the early childhood program, and she's tailoring everything she does to the CDA. But we have others that are sitting in comprehensive high schools where they're really teaching education and child development, and then they're allowing students to choose their own credential based off of their interests. So we actually have 3 approved credentials. It's the infant toddler CDA, the preschool CDA, and then the Michigan Youth Development. And so it's kind of as I've told my teachers, they're going to teach all of their CTE competencies, and I probably could pull that up, but they're going to teach their CTE competencies, some of which align to the YDA or the CDA, but there are additional CTE competencies that actually go above and beyond those credentials even. So for example, when they're teaching about ethics, we want them to know the policies of, for working with young children, for working in out of school time, but we also want them to look at the Michigan teacher code and know what we'd expect from the Department of Education as well. So realistically, in a program, a student will get exposure to all 3 and then be able to tailor their interest to a credential. But there are some that run either or.
Okay, thank you very much. I know in the interest of time, I think Robin, you wanted to get some input from folks, so we'll
Yes.
do that.
And I'm not noticing any chat questions unless I'm not in the right place, but I think I am. So why don't we move? I think we have 3 questions that we're really hoping to gather, again, some insight from all of you on. So you can flip if you'd like, Candace.
So our first question here is, how can we strengthen our partnerships with higher ed? Coming from the scope of, the opposite question of what you asked, Rob, I want to know what I can do as an education consultant at the Michigan Department of Ed to strengthen our relationship with our higher ed partners. What materials would you need to look at to make a stronger relationship happen? What types of meetings would we have to have? So if you have any ideas on that, I would love any input because I want to work with everyone.
Are people able to unmute themselves? Because it might be helpful to have them do that rather than just put it in the chat.
Yes, I believe they have to request to do it. Well, so if you think of something later on, I hope you all have my email. If not, it's pretty easy to find on the department website. I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn. So please reach out to me with your ideas. Sometimes it takes a minute to digest things, and then the brainstorm comes later. For me, the brainstorm comes at 2:00 in the morning.
So Lorraine, I think this is you, but I'm happy to read it.
I wasn't following on my slide. I'm sorry. So what might your role be to raise awareness of these opportunities? You just learned about the MyYDA and you learned about the CTE programs offering these things. How could we help you, and how might you be able to help us in raising awareness of the opportunities for students and even adults who are enrolled in your programs to get these credentials and to move forward with their careers? Some of you are community college. I can tell by the way you signed in, but some of them I can't tell, so I don't know where you're all coming from. But we know that we need to get this word out. What's a good way to do that, and how could you help us do that? Any suggestions? What will you offer? If everybody could just give me one thing that you could do after today to help us raise awareness. Go, chat bomb.
People are being very reluctant to chat.
Yeah, what's the
I can
deal?
see
You guys not
I
type
see a
in
lot
the
of
chat?
our instructors. This virtual engagement is
We only
really
have like
difficult.
1 minute
But
left, so
I'm gonna maybe try to answer
I
or
love
maybe ask.
add my YDA to her associates.
Exactly. Yeah, those are the types
Love
of things
that.
that we'll be doing. I think one of the things you had shown a map of all the different areas with the CTEs, and obviously there are community colleges that are associated with those CTEs, right? And so I guess the question is, have those CTEs reached out to the community colleges in their area with the credentials and the information? And I don't know that.
I do have the answer to that one. Not all of them do have a relationship with their local community college. So that's always kind of interesting to me. Not all of our programs have that, and not all of our teachers know the right person to contact. It's really two different worlds between secondary and post-secondary. And if they're overwhelmed right now with all the changes, and they're overwhelmed with COVID. And I think sometimes they just have no clue who to talk to. And so sometimes they start with admissions or various counselors, and they're often kind of shot down real quick because they're not talking to the right person. And so that's part of this presentation even is just to ensure that we're starting to have these conversations and that we're working together. And I'm pretty thankful. I work with Cherie Price and Tracy Taylor, and then Dr. Flowers has been a part of some of our conversations as well. And so we're really trying to pull all those stakeholders together. The next piece for us, I think, would be to create some level of a document that our teachers could be taking back to their community colleges that help them to explain the need for relationships.
Well, I know as an administrator, I'm definitely going to go back and talk to my ECE faculty and make sure that they're making those connections.
Good. I don't know how many of you on the call are administrators at community colleges or teachers in teaching with the associate's degree in early childhood, but one thing that you can absolutely do is just go find out more information about the MyYDA and the CDA, and you can do that. If you're already offering the CDA, you can go to the MyYDA website and just put yourself in as a candidate, and you'll be able to download the documents and find out all about the credential. And there's those fact sheets that Candace shared with you, give you even some more information about what to do. But that's a really simple way that you can be proactive in getting this word out, is learn about it yourself. And we only have like 1 minute left. So you want to do the last question?
So our last question was, what ideas might you have for recruiting a diverse population of candidates? I know that we, talk a lot about the teaching profession. We see this in early childhood and on the youth side. There isn't a lot of diversity in the workforce, and we think that this is such an opportunity to recruit diversity in terms of our diverse population of students to seek this profession in some capacity. And we'll use education as the umbrella, and really hope to build our own to support by creating this pipeline to many different education pieces. So if you have thoughts about how we can really recruit, and we didn't talk about this at all, and it is 12, but we have We've partnered with a marketing agency, and we have a series of different audience pieces that we'll be using and supporting to try to, again, build overall interest in the program. But we hope to see some of that diversity also increased.
And so with that, because I really think improving access to the programs and relationships is going to increase the diversity. Our contact information is up on the screen. Please contact us with anything. There is no question that is going to be silly to us. There is no feedback that we don't want to hear. We're working really hard on this project, and we appreciate that you have come to our presentation. Thank you.
Rob and Candace and Lorraine, thank you very much for your presentation and for being willing to participate in trends. This is, I'm sure you guys sometimes, you feel like you're, I don't know, working really hard and maybe not making as much progress as you'd hope, but it's really, really important work that you're doing. We really need to have more early childhood educators, and it's definitely an area where it can really make a difference. So keep at it. All right.
Thanks for supporting
Rob.
that. Yeah.
And thanks
Okay,
everybody.
everybody. And, hope everyone continues to enjoy the meetings, and have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.